All right, we are live once again. Go Live Long Beach, my show that I hold every Friday at 10:30, and I am just having so much fun with this. I didn't know, I didn't see this coming. But if you're on Facebook, if you're watching us, what we're going to be talking about today, you see it next to me, is Jen Sawday, and she's a trust and probate attorney. And I just think there's probably everybody out there, I feel, has a question about a trust. So we're going to talk with her today, and she's going to clear up a lot of stuff for us. If you are happening to watch this on YouTube and you like my shows, if you could give me a like and a follow, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm Michele Kreinheder, Michele K. I'm a real estate agent in Long Beach, California, and I'm with the lovely brokerage of Compass. So very excited about that, sort of new for me. And like I said, I'm just going to introduce, I'm very excited, Jennifer Sawday, trust and probate attorney for ordinary Long Beach folks. And just before you introduce yourself, Jen, I just want to say that I think you're an excellent marketing person, that you have marketed yourself very well. And I really don't know what other platforms you're on, but I just think on LinkedIn, you are terrific. I just, you just do a great combination of really good information, attorney information, really good personal information. You make it very interesting, and you can tell from your responses, people are really enjoying you. So yeah, so so before you get in and start introducing yourself, I just wanted to that's to give you a round of applause for that, Jen.
Oh, I thank you. I love LinkedIn. I really do. It's a nice platform to be who you are. Um, but first, I want to say Happy Friday the 13th. It's a beautiful day, and I love Friday the 13th. I've gotten over the fear of saying that it's a bad Friday because it isn't. It's a beautiful day in Long Beach. Um, what I want and I strive in my practice is two things. I wanted to be, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I want to be the queen of Long Beach for estate planning. And then I also want to be the attorney where you run into me at Target. You don't run around the aisle and say, oh, there's Jennifer. I want you to come up to me and say hi. So my practice, my pricing, my accessibility, and my philosophy has focused on those two things that I've worked hard. But I do want to do a shout out that all of my competitors and my colleagues in Long Beach are all fabulous. We have a great, what I call trust and estate and probate bar. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of us in Long Beach because we all work really hard to do a good job for our clients here.
Yeah, and I just even on LinkedIn, and I keep using your little byline there over and over in my advertising, trust and probate attorney for ordinary Long Beach folks. I'm like, I wish I had thought of that, because that's like you're like what you just said about what you do is like what I want to be. I'm
Um,
here, I'm accessible. So yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because people are afraid of attorneys. They get nervous coming to see me. They think I'm going to charge a consultation fee. They don't have an idea of what it costs. Most clients and potential clients understand the value, but they're just afraid. And so I want them to come in, see me. I don't charge consultation fees because I want them to like me. I want to be able to help you. And in that hour, we can talk about so much. And if I have to do work, I can quote what the fee is. And the fees, I think for Long Beach, it's not by the hour. People don't want to pay my rate. It's high. It's $5.25 an hour, and we do that for litigation and probate and things in court. But for those that want to do what I consider happy things, just estate planning, it's a fixed fee. And the
Okay.
fee makes sense. It's very competitive, it works, and it makes the clients feel comfortable. And I also don't normally charge for email. So if you send me an email, you'll get a response within the day and you'll feel better because your attorney's here looking out for you.
That's great. Yeah, it is so true. I mean, just the lawyer who does it just okay, no matter what. It's like, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Do you go by Jen, Jenny, Jennifer? Which do you
I
prefer to
prefer
be
my
called?
name is Jennifer, so people remember. And then once you get to know me, I go by Jenny. And you
Okay.
know what's funny is we have another Jennifer in the office. So she spells her name Jenny with a Y, and I'm Jenny with an I. And the other Jennifer does primarily litigation. So we have good Jenny, which is me, and then we have bad Jenny, which is her, and she does all the fighting. So I tell the clients, look, let's keep your matter out of the court. We don't want bad Jenny to come in, but if we need her, we've got her.
Oh,
There's
that's
two of
awesome.
us here. It's kind of a nice, another thing what you say about yourself, marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I just think that you've done, I know you've been in what's the local paper that gets dropped? We live in the same neighborhood. Um, the
Yeah,
Beachcomber, right? You have just been so loyal and there, and I love
oh,
that, right? And I think a lot of other people do too. I mean, I think I get also the same thing. A lot of business people are like, oh, you're there for the community, and I think there for the community means, supporting newspapers and things like that.
yeah,
Um, I know you have a very interesting story as to how you got into become a lawyer and specifically dealing with trusts. Is that a story you would like to tell
yeah.
here? Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. I love being in the Beachcomber. When I met Jay Beeler, I think it was in 2006, he said to me, Jennifer, if you want your practice to grow, put an ad in my paper and don't ever change it. And I said, Jay, why is that? And he says, because what will happen is the clients will recognize your ad, and someday they will need you, and they'll open up the Beachcomber looking for you. And if it's the same ad, they'll recognize you, they'll cut it out and call. And that ad has worked wonders. I've been in the Beachcomber since 2006. It's
Wow.
exactly the same ad. The firm updated the logo, so we updated the logo. I got a new picture, but the ad's the same. And Jay's right. His marketing's on target for that.
Yeah.
So
Jet.
it's paid to have, what we call continuity in the community. So when people do need us, they can find us. I think you do the same for you, Michelle.
Yeah. I've been on the back of the 908
Yeah,
magazine. It's been like 10 years. And yeah, I'm going to try for more continuity now that I'm at Compass. It's actually, see,
yeah.
this is, I learn, I
But
always learn something.
estate planning is a very good subject for me. I'm not afraid to talk about it. My mother died when I was 21, and she was 46, and she died at 93. And so that was fine. You lose a parent, you think not too much of it. But then my father died after, and he was 54 when he passed, and he had a heart attack, and she had cancer. So when my dad had passed, um, I was still in law school, and I didn't know enough to say, Dad, you need to set up a trust. I just didn't think anything of it. I didn't know.
Mm.
And my father worked at Douglas Aircraft Company, and he had been there for 30 years, and he served in the Vietnam War. He was a veteran. He just didn't know. He had no knowledge. So when I lost both my parents, I said, oh, crap, we have to go through probate. What is that? And because I was a law student, I knew that I should hire an attorney. So I called my dad's accountant, and I said, my father Ron died. What do I do now? And he said, Jennifer, you need to go through probate. And I talked to my CPA's recommended attorney, and he was a gentleman in Wilmington, Mick Migala. And I said, Mick, I need you to help me. And I hired him. And I was a second year law student, and I went through the probate process, my brother and I, and hired that attorney to go through probate. And it was fine. It took about a year and a half, and I paid about $16,000 in attorney fees. And we sold my father's home. My brother got half, I got half, but that was way back in 2001. And then I graduated law school after. And my first job, and your first job as a lawyer is any job you can get. Just like your first job as a teacher, your first job as a doctor, you just go. So I worked for the union, the Carpenters Union. So if you drive down the 110 freeway and you see a big building on Fig and Ninth, and on the top in the night it glows in the dark, and it's like Carpenters Union. So I worked up there on the sixth floor, and we had to get to work at 6 a.m. because that's when the carpenters went to work on the job. And we had to be available in case they had picketing, striking issues, or something happened on the job site. But I had no clients because my clients were the union guys out on the field. That job to me was so boring. So I had a baby, and I didn't come back. And I started my own practice doing wills and trusts and probate because I had been there. And I was so upset having to have gone through it. I wanted to help everyone else in my community to avoid probate. And I also wanted to do a better job for those who had no choice but go through probate. So one of the biggest things that I do is just respond to the client. We've got good news, we've got bad news, they just need to know. And so I spend a lot of time just communicating. And sometimes people say, oh, you're a negative naysayer or the information is negative, but it's not, it's information.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now,
Just to stop you, so your company,
yeah,
it's TLD. Is that what is the that's your company? You started.
that's my
Wow.
company now. I had my own firm. I was in 5150 PCH, and I was there for a couple of years, which is over in Clark and PCH. And I
Okay.
the Sawday law firm, Sawday and Drake. And I met one of the partners here at this firm in 2006. Then they bought my practice, and I've been at TLD ever since.
Okay.
It's a nice
Can you
firm. Yeah, I mean, we have 8 partners, so there's 8 of us. I'm one of the partners. 5 of us are women, so we're considered a certified female-owned partner.
Lovely.
We have a lot of minorities here, and we have 60 people that work here. We're a big firm. We have an office in Irvine, and we have this office.
Okay. And tell them I've been to your office. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
help me here. It's Airport Spring. What do you call that complex up there?
yeah, it's in Kilroy Airport area.
Kilroy. Sorry, Kilroy.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful offices. And you know what? And I think what I had known who you were, Jen, because we're in the neighborhood, but what you had done, I want to say that was when I first got into real estate. It was about 10 years ago. And you threw it out there that you were going to hold a class on trust on death deeds. I have that
Mm.
those words correct. And it was super interesting. And I did bring a few clients, with me to that. So we figured let's just kick this off here. And if you want to explain about trust on death and why you actually I know you don't you don't approve, but yeah, go educate people about this because I have a friend who I tell him all the time he should do this, but I read your thing on LinkedIn and I'm like, okay, Joe, I hope you're listening because I think she's going to tell you why you shouldn't go down this path.
Well, we want to avoid probate. That's goal number one. The best way to do it is to set up a trust. But California has passed a couple years back a new law allowing you to record a deed on your home. It's like payable in debt. You do that for a bank account. You can do it with your property now. It's called transfer on death deed. It's revocable, it's changeable, but there's a lot of requirements before and after. You have to sign it. You can only name 1 or 2 people to be a beneficiary. You can't describe what happens if a beneficiary dies. So you say, I pick my home and transfer it to my daughters, Gracie and Haley. I can't say in that deed what happens if one of them passes away out of order, like a backup
So
beneficiary.
you're back into probate.
You can't go back. You can undo it, but you can't put in that document contingency. But the
Okay.
deed has to be signed, notarized, and recorded within 60 days of execution. So I've had a lot of clients that sign them, they notarize them, but they record them too late. So they're already not valid.
Oh
But
wow.
the recorder's office requires that it has to be signed and recorded right away. Recording's hard for the layperson. They just don't know how. You have to
Yeah.
walk down to the recorder's office, you have to get a cover sheet, you have to pay the fee. But that's fine. So let's say you've recorded. The law just passed again this year, enhancing those deeds, saying that if you have died and it's supposed to go to the person on the deed, there's a requirement now that you must notify all of the dead person's next of kin. Prepare an affidavit, record the affidavit, and then you can do the clearance of the dead person to say the house is mine. So it's even worse than a probate because the court's not overseeing it. And now you're at the mercy of title and escrow to make sure that it's done right. It's too complicated.
It's too complicated. Okay.
It's too complicated.
I
But
think
it works. I like them as a tool if you own 10 properties and you put everything into a trust. And let's say you have a house in Palm Springs and that house, your favorite granddaughter lives there. And you really want her to have that house without going through probate or trust administration out of all the properties that you have. You
yeah.
want to deliver it to her. Then use that deed for that purpose. But
Ah,
don't use that deed if you only own the home. Because if you only own the home and you die, the person that's in charge, that's getting the home, needs more power. They need to pick up your mail. They need to pay your property tax bill. And then they also need to file a tax return. Because you named someone on the deed, you have given them no powers but all your problems. And they're stuck. And so they say to me, well, Jennifer, I need a power of attorney. I need a trust. I'm like, yeah, you do. But your father, your mother was too cheap. Okay. So what happens is we make money. So when I see you and you're happy and you're driving to my office and you get mad because you get lost and you're in here screaming, you have capacity. Let's do what's best. Let's just get it done.
So just back to that little scenario that you gave. Now, if that person gets that house in Palm Springs, do they have to do a tax return and everything, or is that? Yeah, I guess maybe that's too complicated, but that sounds like a very. I think this is where back to like why you need to talk to you for estate planning, right? That you can do these little maneuvers that a lay person would have no idea about.
Well, let's say you have a trust and you have all your properties in the trust, and you want one house to go to someone right away. You have to make the trustee do it. Sometimes it's hard to get them to do it. I get that. But I could use that deed as a tool. It's a tool in my toolbox. But in Long Beach, most of us, me, you, we own one house, right? And things happen when we pass. We have to file taxes, we have to go to the bank, we have to get the mail. There's stuff that needs to be done. I want, when I die, my husband and my kids to have the power and the authority to do whatever they need to close everything up.
Right.
That deed gives no power, but it creates rights and obligations. So if you're listening and you're watching and you have questions, then that's when you come see me. Me, any attorney, any of us here in Long Beach will tell you what we think. And then you can process, do more research, go to Google, and come back. And then you make the decision what's best for your family.
Okay. I have a silly question, but I'm just going to go. What's the difference between a revocable and irrevocable? So I set up a trust for my house and it's a successor trustee, my children. Is that a revocable or irrevocable trust at this point?
Most of them are revocable. They're living trusts. We want you to make changes. We want you to buy another house and put it in. We want you to be able to disinherit your kids. We want you to add gifts to the grandkids. We want you to have the flexibility with the changes. See, I love using bad examples, like disinheriting your kids. You know you won't, but you understand, right?
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Wine with your husband and you say, honey, can you imagine if we just took her out of the will, what that would look like? But you could. That's why it's revocable. But when you're dead and you're both gone, it becomes irrevocable.
So that successor trustee, and there could be 1, 2, 3, there can be a lot of successor trustees. They have to do what the trust says, right? In order for this to happen, sell the house, this has to happen. Okay. I feel like I had another question and it went away. I do have a question. So if you own property in California and you have accounts in California, what if you have a property in another state? Can that also be put in the trust? Or do different states have different requirements for the trust?
So you can set up a trust in California. Well, first, you have to set up a trust in the state in which you plan to die. Okay. I mean, you have to think about that, right?
Okay, that's okay.
That's where you vote, where you file taxes, where you're licensed. So if you are a California resident, you probably will pass away and die as a resident of the state. If you set up a California trust, you can put property from any state into that trust. Okay. You can put property in from Canada into that trust. Mexico's a little different. Europe's a little different. But most attorneys will know if something can come in. If you're buying a home in Vegas and escrow says to you in Vegas, how do you want to take title? You say, my trust. And they say, okay. You put a copy and they put it in. Now, if you come to me and you have property out of state, I talk to an attorney in that state and tell them to do the deed and record it. But yes, one California trust can have everything that you own in the United States or Canada.
Okay. I actually own a light industrial property my dad left to me in New Jersey. And when we set up the trust, that property never made it into the trust. And I never did that step you just said. And I do have an attorney there. So see, Jen, you and I, we have to have a conversation. I need to update that. And
New Jersey attorney needs a copy of your trust.
Okay.
And then she's able to do deed work. Now, I don't know the laws in every state, and I shouldn't. But
Right.
that attorney there may have a good reason not to put it in. So you have to listen to them. But I usually put properties in from Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Hawaii. They come and do the trust.
Would it have mattered that that property is not in both my husband and my name? It's just in my name. Would that have been a stumbling block?
It might
Okay.
matter. You might want to set up just a Michele K separate property trust for the New Jersey property.
Property. Okay. Thanks everybody for
Yeah,
allowing me to pick her brain while we're doing.
no. But there's a lot of things. You may also want to do a trust in New Jersey just to handle that property. So I had a client call me yesterday who lived in Virginia, and she said to me, I own a condo in Signal Hill, and I want to put it in my trust. So my question was, do you have one? She goes, yes, I have a trust in Virginia. I said, okay, scan me a copy. So I'm going to do the deed to take her Signal Hill condo and deed it to her Virginia trust.
Got
She's
it.
going to pay me. She'll pay me $500.
Okay.
Well, the recording fee is about
Lovely.
150 to 175. The accounting, the course is expensive now. Everything's gone up. And then
Everything.
it's about 200 for me to do the work, and I have to deal with her, get a copy of the trust. It takes about an hour of my time.
Oh,
But
seems
it
very
will go into her trust. So for $500, she's avoiding California probate into a trust that she already has. And I
absolutely.
could care less within it. That trust is none of my business.
Gotcha. All right. Understood. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I do have up here the successor trustees duties because, this is sort of where us as real estate agents, we come in and, a lot of people, it's nerve wracking. They're like, they feel it is a lot of responsibility, right? And normally there is no real normal. They're all different, but usually have one successor trustee and then you have the beneficiaries. So they're standing up for those people and making sure they're doing everything right. So, did you want to go over the successor trustees' duties at this point?
Yeah, so becoming an incoming trustee is confusing and complicated. I haven't really made checklists for that yet, because every situation is really different.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you don't see too much. I am getting a lot of questions about it. Usually, the trustee has to get activated. They have to get installed into the position. So you think of the trust as a company, and the president has died. So now I need to put a new president in, and that is the successor trustee. So for me to do that, I need a death certificate, and then I need to do some work. The biggest thing when someone has a trust is we have to get a new taxpayer number for that trust because the social security number of the person who created it has gone to the grave with them. So we get a new taxpayer number, and then we have to clear title to the property so it can be sold. And then we have to notify the assessor to see whether or not property taxes can go up. So there's about 3 to 4 things that need to be done if a homeowner owns a home. When someone passes, I have to install the trustee, I have to record the clear title, I have to get an EIN number, and then I work with the clients to find out what questions they have. I walk them through it. Most clients, when they come back to me for trust administration, hire me for about maybe $1,500 to $2,000 for about 3 to 4 hours of my time and activation documents. Once the documents are signed and their questions are answered and they have the roadmap, I usually never see them again because I've told them what to do and they go do it. They put the house on the market, they sell it, they file the tax return, they divide the money, and then it's over.
Good, good. I mean, I think a lot of people would feel so much better once they've sat down and, you've given them very clear
Yeah.
instructions. I think it's money well worth spent because people tend to get really nervous and stressed, and that's not good, right? It's not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
All
you
right.
do a lot of trust sales yourself. I
I do
mean,
do a lot of trust sales. Yes, I do. I enjoy trust sales. Yeah,
that's
I'm
important to understand that when you're selling a home on behalf of the trust, it's not the homeowner that's selling it. It's the trustee. So it's an arm's length transaction. So we need forms, and that's where a good realtor is important because when you sign the listing agreement and you sign the contract and you sign the escrow documents, it has to be your name, comma, trustee. It's not
successor trustee.
you because it's not your house. So when you have somebody like Michele that understands this stuff, you're getting a better level of service when you're selling that property. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, trust or you're dealing with the family, going through it with your own family and having to do something like that. Yeah, I think I'm good at it. I'm empathetic. It's tough times, you know. Okay, and then I did want to talk. You sort of touched on it, but if you want to talk about like, you know, just the cost of setting up that trust or estate planning, or maybe even want to touch on how much probate, you know, is if you don't go ahead and get that trust built set up. So go ahead, Jen.
Most of my clients that come in to set up a trust pay the same price. The price comes in two categories. The single person pays a little bit less than a married couple. A married couple is twice the number of documents, so it's just more work.
Okay.
Um, Most clients pay on an average 2,000 for everything. A single person's a little bit less, a married couple's a little bit more, but that's usually the range.
Okay.
Some people don't need a trust. If you don't need a trust at all, you're young, you just had a baby, or you're elderly and you've sold your property, or in the middle, you just don't own a home, then you pay my very low price, which is $750. I'm just doing a power of attorney, healthcare directive, and a will. Um, the first meeting is designed for you to tell me what you need. I tell you what I think you need. I quote the price. And almost all of my clients say, that sounds great, because they know I'm doing the work, they understand the value. So
Yeah.
let's talk about probate.
Yeah.
When you open probate, I have to write a check to the clerk of the court to get it open. That filing fee is $565. I have to pay an e-filing fee of about $20. So the filing fee just to get probate open, it's $500. I have to run a notice in the newspaper in the city of Long Beach, the Signal Tribune I run, the Beachcomber, or the Press Telegram. That notice is about $800.
Wow.
So now I'm over $1,000. And then I have to get the property appraised by the court, and that's another $500 to $600. And so then I have to post the bond, and that's another 1,000. And then a year later, when I'm ready to close the probate, I have to pay the filing fee again, which is another 500. So in probate, the cost alone is about $3,000. See that cost? The estate plan is way cheaper.
Right. Right.
Right? That doesn't even include the attorney fee. The attorney fees in a probate is exactly the same no matter what attorney you hire. The attorney fee in a probate is called a commission. Now, Michele gets the commission when she sells property, and the house pays out the commission, 5% or 6%. And the selling agent gets half, and the buying agent gets half. Guess what? The attorney gets the commission too. And my commission is based on the value of the house also. So my commission is 4% of the first 100,000, 3% of the next 100,000, 2% thereafter. So if the home, let's say it's a condo in Long Beach, sells for 500,000, and that's what the court says is worth, my commission on that probate, just like Michele's commission on the sale, is $13,000. So that probate has attorney fees of 13,000 and costs of about 3,000. So now that we're about 16,000. So I'm closing the probate today, and I'm getting a payday, right? I'm getting a check today for 13,000. I closed the probate yesterday, and we were in litigation. I got a payday. That payday was 40 grand. That payday is not my payday. That payday is the firm's payday. But in both of those probates, I had no tools in my toolbox to avoid it because the homeowner had died. See, if you're
That's stressful.
alive and well and you're pissed off, you should be mad. Probate should make you mad. And you gotta go run to an attorney, figure something out. And if you're afraid to talk to me, then talk to the real estate agents because they know all of us and they will introduce you to the best one. Right?
Yeah. Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean,
Yes.
that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been so interesting, really. I just was so looking forward when I started these live streams. I was like, I just want to talk to Jen Sawday. I mean, with this we
I
are.
was so nervous though. This is scary. I'm on Facebook.
You're great. We have Lori Tedesco, my big follower, but she says this is very good information, and I knew it was going to be very good information for everybody. So yeah, you know, Jen, I'll put it out there. I mean, they'll be able to. You are so good. You are on that social media. You can be found. I yeah, highly recommend Jen. Her offices are lovely, close to find, and she's wonderful to work with. So thanks again for taking your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Uh,
glad you invited me. I mean, you came to my house and you knocked on my door and you scared the living daylights out and you're like, what? I didn't even respond to you. I'm like, I don't know. I had to go to work next week and talk to my people and they're like, Jenny, go. And I was like,
oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, I was like, she's not getting back to me. Yeah, I am. I'm sort of like a dog with a bone once I decide I want
yeah,
something. So,
yeah.
oh, good.
But you've done a wonderful job too, being in my neighborhood and helping with everyone with all of the events and being available and being there for us. It's amazing to have you with us.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I was just telling Jen before she came on that I'm the 4th of July parade at Whaley Park.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, on her street, Lave always has the biggest 4th of July party, and
Mm.
Tom Burke, he would play his drums, right? And the kids would follow him down the street on their bikes. And so, probably about 5 years ago, Tom and oh gosh, I can't think of his name, Tony Hernandez, were kind enough to do it. And then Tom moved away. So, Wilson
I
Drum
know.
Corps, I got about 12 drumline is showing up this year. I'm so very excited. But yeah, I do love that. I do love that community stuff. So it makes the neighborhood great, right?
Well, I'm happy to be here for you. I mean, if you have questions or you want to argue with me, I'm all for it. Just come at me. I'm here to help you.
Right.
The other thing that I do is I want people to understand when they go home at night and they have dinner or over the weekend and they meet their family. I want them to be able to say what I'm teaching them because the education is more important than for me to get the business.
Yeah, this is good for me. I mean, they always say, like, if you can learn something and you can explain it back to somebody, you have it. I feel from this conversation, I'm much more confident in explaining back to somebody.
Yeah.
Not that we can ever give, advice, say go to the professionals, but to get somebody started and know where to go. And I had somebody yesterday, she's going to sell her house eventually. She's like, I'm not in the biggest hurry, and she's going to move to Oregon. So she wanted a trust attorney, but I'm like, if you're selling your house and you're moving to Oregon, so see, these were questions that I said, I'm doing this interview with Jen. Let's see what questions or answers she comes up with. So all good.
Yeah, it's good.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm happy to be here for anybody who's watching. I'm just, if I'm not a good fit for you, we have other people here at the firm. And then the folks in the community, we all do a good job. We have the probate bar, we have meetings, we have the estate planning and trust council of Long Beach, the women lawyers of Long Beach. All of us estate planning attorneys here all know each other.
yeah,
I mean, it's amazing.
yeah, I always say we have such a good Long Beach broker preview where we go when we
Mhm.
talk about our properties, and I I
Yeah.
find some another one that has such a robust number of people, and I never really thought about it that you also have a nice community of lawyers in Long Beach. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm back in the office, so I'm gonna hit
get
the
going.
button.
Yeah, you're gonna get going.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna stop it.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll see you
Thanks.
later. All right. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.